Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. Welcome to the beginning of the end of the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit. Yesterday evening, news broke that Judge Netburn has ruled that the SEC's bogus attorney-client privilege claims do not stand. They have in fact been denied, and harshly denied. I have to tell you here at the outset of this video, the scathing words that Judge Netburn used against the SEC are far beyond anything I ever would have hoped. It's shocking. It's absolutely. She literally said, and I'll show you the exact words in the beginning part of the video. She literally said that the SEC is engaging in hypocrisy and that they don't seem to be seeking to follow the rule of law. And I'm paraphrasing, but I'll get you the exact words. It's just absolutely scathing, far beyond what I had ever hoped to see. So a couple things here. What's being discussed here, just as a quick refresher, the emails and drafts surrounding the Ethereum free pass speech that former SEC director William Hinman gave June 14th, 2018, that's what was being discussed here. The idea that all of these emails and drafts were somehow attorney-client privileged is complete and utter nonsense. And you may recall that Attorney Deaton publicly stated that once this decision comes down, and after the SEC appeals this, which inevitably it will, and Judge Torres then finally rules in favor of what Judge Netburn also ruled, it's official and they agree, that starts right there, a 90-day timer. This is from Attorney Deaton. He's been saying this in recent months. And that timer means that once this occurs, there's going to be settlement. That's his bet. That's what Attorney Deaton is betting on. And why? Because the SEC has been seeking to hide this information, the information within these emails. They've been fighting to hide it harder than anything else in this case up to this point. There must be something exculpatory in there. That's what we're speculating as a community, most of us anyway. But before going any further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, I will share with you that I was a bit conflicted about how to cover this video. You may have noticed that in a lot of my videos where I cover legal documents, I'll start by explaining what the outcome was, and then I'll share perspective from attorneys within the XRP community. And then for the people who are super interested, like myself, in this stuff, then I tend to get into the specifics of what was written in the actual court ruling, the court order. And I think that makes sense, because for the people that just want to kind of get a general sense, but they don't want to get into the nuts and bolts, it makes sense. But I feel if I did it in that approach, I'd really be burying the lead. Which, again, of course, is the fact that this is basically the beginning of the end of the lawsuit. Like, this is going to result in settlement. I firmly believe that. I don't know that for sure, but I'm making that bet. I'm willing to publicly state that I suspect strongly it's what's going to happen. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's what's going to happen. And then also, with how harshly the Judge Netburn worded this court order, I have to share that first. And then I'll get into the specifics of what other attorneys in the, or not others, because I'm not one, what attorneys in the XRP community had to say, including stuff from Attorney Filan, Attorney Hogan, Attorney Deaton, Attorney Fred Rispoli, and Attorney Bill. And so credit and shout out to James K. Filan, attorney within the XRP community, for breaking this news late yesterday. And he wrote the following: breaking. Magistrate Judge Netburn denies the SEC's attorney-client privilege claims. And he shared a quote here: the predominant purpose of the communications was not to provide legal advice. The documents must be produced, end quote. And then Attorney Filan wrote this, and he's wording this intensely for a reason. I'm not kidding you about how bad this is for the SEC. Attorney Filan wrote, that decision is what Black's Law Dictionary defines as a body slam. He's not kidding, folks. So anyway, you hear that right here? Got some dead trees up in my hands, son. And I highlighted the parts that I found most interesting. And honestly, there's not a ton that I need to cover, but I want to start with this because I think you're going to find this to be the most tasty and juicy morsels in this whole video. And so here, I'll pull up the legal document for those that want to follow around on your screens. Begins as follows. Let's see. And so this is from Judge Sarah Netburn. By letter motion, the Securities and Exchange Commission argues that the attorney-client privilege protects internal documents related to a June 14th, 2018 speech given by William Hinman, then the director of the Division of Corporate Finance. This argument was previously raised secondarily, with the SEC primarily asserting the deliberative process privilege. The SEC's motion is denied. Oh, that's so glorious. And so you may recall that the first argument in their attempt to hide these documents from the public and from Ripple was to claim that they were privileged. After that failed, they then came back and said, well, there's attorney-client privilege here. But the thing is, if you have attorney-client privilege, that's what you freaking lead with. Because DPP doesn't even matter if you actually have attorney-client privilege, which is just one more indication that they don't believe the arguments that they're making. Now, this is a 9-page document. Let me go down to page 6 here, because this is where the juiciest, most tasty morsels in this whole damn thing are. Right down here. Hold on one sec here. Let me scroll down for those of you looking. Yeah, so right here, where I'm highlighting, that's where it begins. Whoops. That's where it begins. I'm not going to highlight the whole thing, but right there where I'm circling and where I highlighted. Reads as follows. You are going to love this. At oral argument, the SEC emphasized that the information Hinman received from SEC staff while drafting and editing the speech would not have been available to him as a private citizen. It was only in the context of his employment that he was able to solicit the edits and feedback he did. This question is made unnecessarily complicated by the SEC's litigation tactics. The SEC has distanced itself from the speech to avoid discovery and sought to preclude Hinman's deposition on the grounds that whatever he said in the speech, it had nothing to do with the SEC's position. Now, check this out. This is the money shot right here. She writes, the hypocrisy in arguing to the court, on the one hand, that the speech is not relevant to the market's understanding of how or whether the SEC will regulate cryptocurrency, and on the other hand, that Hinman sought and obtained legal advice from SEC counsel in drafting his speech, suggests that the SEC is adopting its litigation positions to further its desired goal and not out of faithful allegiance to the law. Mic drop, bitches. Oh my God. That is gigantic. And then she writes, the court, however, need not resolve whether Hinman was a client of the SEC lawyers because the evidence establishes that the predominant purpose of the communications was not to provide legal advice. Damn, son. Game, set, match. Oh my God. That is far beyond what I ever expected from her. She's been, and she still is, like, this is professional, but she's been so tolerant of the BS from the SEC from the beginning, but I guess everyone's got a breaking point, right? Because and I've been saying this too, like, she is incredibly intelligent. We all know this. She can see through this stuff. She's just been choosing to hold back, be just nothing but civil. And not that this is uncivil, but it's clearly the case that she's reached a point where she's like, no, this is enough. Don't you think? That's how I'm reading it. Oh my gosh. So now I think you can see why I wanted to cover that in the beginning part of the video before getting into the perspective from the attorneys, which is the exactly backwards from how I normally handle covering stuff like this. But I think that was the right call. Again, I didn't want to bury the lead here. You see what I'm saying? So let's now get into a response from attorneys within the XRP community. So in response to James K. Filan, an XRP community member and attorney, breaking this news, attorney Jeremy Hogan of the very popular YouTube channel Legal Briefs responded by writing, wow, she used the H word, Jim, the H word. And he's talking about hypocrisy here, and he shared a screen grab of part of what I just shared with you a second ago. And then Jeremy Hogan retweeted the breaking news from attorney Filan and wrote the following. This was not even a nuanced opinion. Judge Netburn tore apart every SEC argument for attorney-client privilege of the Hinman emails. That starts the 14-day clock for an appeal to Judge Torres. And if her recent orders are any precedent, things will move relatively fast. And then a community member named Kyle wrote to Hogan in response to that and said, so July 26th, we will see an appeal, ? Which is why my voice goes up like that, because it's a question. And Hogan says, the SEC has already said it intends to appeal this order, so I think we should expect it. Oh, they're going to appeal it. I think there's no question, right? Is anybody doubting that they'll appeal it? These asshats at this asshattery known as the SEC have no shame. They give zero FOX, no shame whatsoever. Yeah, they're going to appeal this thing. There is something in here that just destroys their case. They know it, and they're such unethical, terrible creatures that nature accidentally produced that they're going to keep fighting this damn thing anyway. Bunch of pricks. And then here we have something from attorney Fred Rispoli, member of the XRP community. He also retweeted the breaking news from attorney Filan and wrote, "Who wants to take bets SEC seeks reconsideration of this denial before appealing to Torres? I'm actually not sure it's procedurally allowed." And then he wrote in parentheses, "I think it is." And it continues and he says, "It would extend the delay, but man oh man would it anger Judge Netburn. SEC isn't that stupid, is it?" That's an interesting thought. What if they actually do ask for reconsideration like they did after the January 13th ruling, which set this all off? Because January 13th ruling was when Judge Netburn officially came out and said, no, there's no DPP here. There's no privilege here. You have to produce these documents. You have to produce these documents. And then they asked for a reconsideration. That didn't go well. That we got that ruling in April. And now here we are in July. Are they actually going to ask for reconsideration? Well, again, I have no idea if it's procedurally allowed, but if it is, would they actually do that to delay it even further? Well, if possible, I wouldn't rule it out. These people are awful creatures. Awful creatures. Like, damn, nature, you done messed up. Then XRP community member XR Philly wrote the following. "Does Judge Netburn discuss her rulings with Judge Torres? What are the odds Judge Torres would reverse something from Judge Netburn when they're both working the same case?" And attorney Rispoli responded with the following. "District court and magistrate judges must communicate on the same case for many reasons. I don't have statistics, but it is rare for a district court judge to overturn a magistrate judge's discovery ruling." And he says, "I'm superstitious, so I'll say 99% chance not overruled instead of 100%. And so, look, again, I follow closely what all the attorneys within the XRP community said because there's no way that I can glean the same insight just to be upfront and honest. And I don't pretend like I can because I'm not an attorney. I don't have that background. And so I lean heavily on the attorneys within the XRP community to be able to get a reasonable perspective on what's likely to happen so that I can share that with you on my channel, which, by the way, of course, is the best channel in all of the YouTubes. Fun fact, and there is science behind that, by the way. So I don't see anybody thinking that that Judge Torres would disagree with Judge Netburn, which is why, again, once the appeal goes through, which it's in virtual certainty, right? Judge Torres will ultimately side with Judge Netburn, and that's the point where this 90-day timer starts, and you're going to see settlement. So at some point in the coming months, SEC, like the little baby back biatches that they are, they're going to have to come crawling back to Ripple and be like, "Can we sit down and talk about how we messed up back on 28 times?" And that's what it's going to sound like. At least that's what it'll sound like in my head. It's so glorious. This is a great day. This is a fantastic day. And then we've got this from attorney John Deaton. He wrote, "Next step. The SEC will appeal the issue to Judge Torres, who will not overrule Judge Netburn." And then in a separate tweet, he wrote, "If there are no extensions granted, Judge Torres will have the SEC's appeal and Ripple's objection to the appeal in 30 days. After Judge Torres upholds Judge Netburn's decision, the SEC can ask Judge Torres to certify an appeal to the Second Circuit. She is likely to deny doing so. And at that point, the SEC could ask the Department of Justice permission to file a writ of mandamus. I think that's a tough pitch for the SEC to make. I don't know if Gensler has the political capital to pull it off. If they can't file a writ/appeal, they must turn over the documents or ... Exactly. But they're not going to hand the documents over. There's no way they're going to hand the documents over. They have demonstrated that that's the last thing that they're willing to do, which is why they fought so hard, and they made arguments that they have to know are not in good faith, as Judge Netburn pointed out. And she wasn't being coy about it. She directly stated, "SEC, I see the game you're playing here. You are not acting in good faith. It's not about the law. It's about the goal of winning your argument." The judge called that out in the case. astonishing. And we've been saying this, it's been glaringly obvious, and I've been saying for over a year now, like, the judges, they have to know this. And now it's demonstrated that they do. Now it's demonstrated that they do. I knew it in my heart. Like, they have to be interpreting this the same way, because it's the only rational interpretation that, of all the BS that the SEC asshat attorneys have been putting out. There's no way you can look at this stuff and think, yeah, that's a reasonable argument. No, they're not acting in good faith. Hell no, they're not. It grinds my gears. All right, and then there was this from Attorney Deaton. He wrote, He wrote, a federal judge, pause, of course he's talking about Judge Knepper here. A federal judge used the word hypocrisy in describing the tactics employed by the SEC. She also commented that the lawyers at the SEC are more motivated by self-interest than a faithful allegiance to the law. And don't accuse me of being unprofessional. I didn't say it. Well, I don't think that she's being unprofessional either. It's just the level of restraint that Judge Netburn has displayed publicly is impressive, holding back on saying the obvious truth to that degree so bluntly for so long. And finally she did. That's not unprofessional. I'm just impressed she was able to hold back so long. You know what I mean? That's incredible. And then there was this. Attorney Deaton also wrote, Judge Netburn has been exceptionally patient and professional during this case, but even she has had enough of the SEC nonsense. And then he goes on to share what I already wrote with you. So I'm not the rest of the tweets from Attorney Deaton are on your screen, but I'm not going to read them because it's from the actual ruling. I already covered that specific part. But if you want to reread it, it's right there. It's glorious. I mean, hey, it's fantastic. Like, I wouldn't blame you for pausing this and just for the S words and giggles just to read it again right there. And here we have Attorney Bill of the XRP community who wrote, I would treat the SEC as a client. Oh, wait, actually, I need to read this part first. There's an XRP community member named Johnny Bravo who wrote, what would you do, Bill, if you were lead counsel for the SEC? And Bill retweeted that and wrote, I would treat the SEC as a client, not my master, and advise it to urgently settle. And if I couldn't settle, I'd pare back the case to specific sales of XRP and end the unwarranted overreach and not continue at all against Brad and Chris. If told I couldn't do any of that, I'd resign. Whew. Incredible. Oh, what a great day. You have to be floating on a cloud like me now, aren't you? I mean, come on. This is the beginning and the end so far as I'm concerned. This is incredible. This is what we were waiting for, because you know that Judge Torres is going to agree with Judge Knepper. And then just start that 90-day timer from there. This is it, folks. And I know it's not a guarantee, but isn't it reasonable to suppose that this is the most likely thing at this juncture in time? I think so. Hell yeah. Oh, let me know. Please let me know what you think in the comments section below. There's so much to talk about here. Keep the conversation going. I'm going to wrap up, though. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.